السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.
الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله. أشهد أن محمدًا رسول الله. أشهد أن محمدًا رسول الله. حي على الصلاة. حي على الصلاة. حي على الفلاح. حي على الفلاح. الله أكبر الله أكبر. لا إله إلا الله.
إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا وسيئات أعمالنا. من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له. وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له. وأشهد أن محمدًا عبد الله ورسوله صلى الله عليه وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم تسليما كثيرا. يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله حق تقاته ولا تموتن إلا وأنتم مسلمون. يا أيها الناس اتقوا ربكم الذي خلقكم من نفس واحدة وخلق منها زوجها وبث منهما رجالا كثيرا ونساء. واتقوا الله الذي تساءلون به والأرحام إن الله كان عليكم رقيبا. يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله وقولوا قولا سديدا يصلح لكم أعمالكم ويغفر لكم ذنوبكم. ومن يطع الله ورسوله فقد فاز فوزا عظيما. أما بعد فإن أصدق الحديث كتاب الله وخير الهدي هدي محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم وشر الأمور محدثاتها وكل محدثة بدعة وكل بدعة ضلالة. We begin by praising Allah. We praise Him, we seek His help, we ask His forgiveness. Whoever Allah guides, no one can misguide him, and whoever Allah misguides, no one can guide him. I bear witness that there is no God worthy of worship except Allah alone and with no partner. And I bear witness that Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam is the slave of Allah and His messenger. We ask Allah to exalt His mention and grant Him peace, and to His family and His companions and all those who follow them until the last day. My brothers, before we continue, we need you to move forward, close the gaps, and move towards the direction of the mimbar. And we want you throughout the khutbah, if you see there's a gap in front of you, just come forward and fill the gap. As you know, the masjid is very, very full in these days. We have brothers praying on the stairs, praying downstairs in where you take your shoes off. So please fill the gaps. If you see a gap in front of you, doesn't matter if someone is sitting on the wall, fill the gap. The brothers who come in at the door, please don't sit in the doorway. Make your way to the direction of the mimbar. O you who believe, have taqwa of Allah as He deserves for you to have taqwa of Him, and do not die except as Muslims. O mankind, have taqwa of your Lord who created you from a single soul, and from it He created its mate, and from them both He sent forth many men and women. And have taqwa of Allah, the one whose name you ask by, and fear Allah with regard to your relatives. Allah is always watching over you. O you who believe, have taqwa of Allah and speak a word that is true. He will correct your deeds and forgive your sins. Whoever obeys Allah and His Messenger has achieved the greatest success. To continue, the best speech is the book of Allah. The best guidance is the guidance of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And the worst of affairs in this religion are the newly invented beliefs and practices. And all of these are innovation, and all innovation is misguidance. My dear brother, or my dear brothers, what I have been hearing from a lot of you in this past week are questions related to the zakah. And a lot of people are very confused about the basic principle of how to pay the zakah. My dear brothers, we know the importance of the zakah. How many times does the salah and the zakah come together in the Quran? وَأَقِيمُوا الصَّلَاةِ وَآتُوا الزَّكَاةِ. Perform your prayer and give the zakah. Always in the Quran they come together with each other. And so this tells us, just like we give this huge importance to this ibadah badaniyah, which is the salah, the actions of our body, so there is an ibadah which is maliyah, there is an act of worship which goes together with it, related to your money, and that is the zakah. My dear brothers, the first thing to realize is that the zakah is not specific to Ramadan. There is no rule which says that the zakah is connected to the month of Ramadan. But many, so we want to explain the very basics. Ikhwani, we are not going to go in. We're not going to cover a lot of just the most basic things that you need to know, and try to conceptions which the people have with regard to the zakah. The first thing to realize is, as we said, the zakah is not something which is specific to Ramadan. And the rule is very simple. You may pay your zakah early, but you may not pay your zakah late. So it is not permissible for to delay their zakah until Ramadan, or delay their zakah until the last 10 days of Ramadan. However, it is permissible for somebody to give their zakah early in Ramadan. Let me give you an example, and before that, let's talk about 4 types of wealth that zakah is due upon. 4 types of wealth. In 4 types of wealth which the zakah is due upon. The first type of wealth that the zakah is due upon is an-naqdayn, al-dhahab wal-fiddah, gold and silver. And ikhwani, connected to that is what we have of our money today, like pounds and dollars and dinars and so on. All of this comes under the ruling of gold and silver. Gold, silver, and the money that you have. The pounds and the dollars and the dinars and so on. This is the first category. The second category are certain types of animals, cattle. And we're not going to speak about that in the khutbah today because it doesn't concern many people. If you're a farmer and you have cows and sheep and camels and so on, that's a different matter. But for most of the people, the first category is what they're concerned about. The third category is everything which you have prepared to sell. Urud al-tijara. For example, let's just say that somebody has bought a house to sell it and he wants the money to go up, the value to go up, and then he's going to sell it. Or he bought a car and the car is prepared to sell. I'm not driving it, I'm not using it. It's sitting there so that the value will go up and I will make a profit on it. It doesn't matter if it's a house, it doesn't matter if it's a car, it doesn't matter if it's pens and pencils. If you have bought it and it is sitting there waiting for you to sell, then it is from urud al-tijara that there is zakah due upon it with certain conditions. This includes the stock that you have in your shops. You have a shop, you have stock that you haven't sold. That stock that you have in your shop is also from urud al-tijara. And it doesn't matter if you're a business or you're an individual. If you bought something and your intention is not to use it but to sell it, then this is from that which zakah is due upon. As for that which you bought to use it, the house you bought to live in, the car you bought to drive, there is no zakah due upon it. Likewise, the tools that you use. Maybe you are doing maintenance, you have a hammer, you have a drill, you have a screwdriver, there is no zakah due upon it. In the shop, you have equipment for cutting the meat. You have equipment for the selling, for buy the till and the cash register. There is no zakah due upon it. But the zakah is due upon what you prepared to sell. And it doesn't matter if you prepared it to sell as an individual or a company. And the fourth one is al-kharij min al-ard min al-hubub wa-thimar ala tafsil fi dhalik. We're not going to speak too much about this, which is the grains and the fruits which come from the earth, and this needs a longer discussion. There is no time for it in the khutbah. What concerns us really is the first category and the third one. But mostly in this khutbah, we'll speak about the first one, which is gold and silver and money. Let me give you an example to make it easy to understand. Because in the issue of the zakah, we have to look at the type of the wealth, we have to look at the amount of the wealth, and we have to look at the time that has gone by. So the type of the wealth, we said, gold and silver and money. Do you convert money to gold or silver? At the moment in this time, you should convert your money to silver. You should consider the money as the value of silver. Yani 595 grams of silver, which will come to somewhere in the region of 500 pounds. A little bit less or a little bit more. What you're going to do is this. The first thing you're going to look at is, have I got enough? Have I reached the nisab? And we said the nisab for gold is 85 grams of gold, and the nisab for silver is 595 grams of silver. You can go online, you can check what's the value of it. But the silver value will be around 500 pounds, up or down, 450, 470, 480, 500, something like that. If you have this money, now you have to look at the time. And there has to be the presence of the Islamic year gone by. The hawl. And the Islamic year goes by, so I will give you an example that's easy to understand. Let's say, for example, that a woman, she got married on the first day of Sha'ban. And when she got married, they gave her sadaq, the mahr. Let's just say, for example, they gave her £1,000 on the first day of Sha'ban. Now, is £1,000 more than 500? It's more. So it's more than 595 grams of silver. So now she has the money and she has the amount. Now she keeps it. We ask the question, in this year, does it go below the £500? Did she spend it and it went down? No, she didn't spend it, she kept it. When the next year comes on the first day of Sha'ban, not Ramadan, the same day she took it, that is the same day that she has to give the zakah. She can give it early, but she can't give it late. And the same rule is with all the money you get. And so you collect the amounts, you say, I got this amount, I got this amount, I got this amount of salary. Did it go over the amount? Is it more than 595 grams of silver? If it is, did you keep it the whole year or did it go down? Somebody said, look, I got £1,000. After 2 months, I spent it. We say, okay, there is no zakah. Then again, I got it. Okay, did you keep it for 1 year? I kept it for 1 Islamic year. Then you have to pay the zakah upon it. The zakah upon it is very simple. It is 2.5%. Rubu'ul ushr. So you divide by 10 and then divide by 2 and then divide by 2. So for £1,000, if we divide by 10, we get 100. And we divide by 2, we get 50. And we divide again by 2, we get 25. That is what the person has to give. In the second part of the khutbah, we're going to speak about the salary. Because most of us are earning our money on a monthly basis. And this is a little bit more complicated. أقول ما تسمعون وأستغفر الله العظيم لي ولكم ولسائر المسلمين من كل ذنب فاستغفروه يغفر لكم إنه هو الغفور الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على عبد الله ورسوله نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين أما بعد. My dear brothers, we've been learning a basic bit of information about the zakah. We said that when the amount of money comes to you and that amount of money is more than the nisab, and we said that the nisab for money is 595 grams of silver, which is roughly in the region of, somewhere in the region of 450 or 500 pounds. Every day it changes. This now we ask the question, how do I deal with my salary? Because my salary is coming every month. It is allowed for you that you will treat each month separately. So for example, the money that you earned in Shawwal, you will pay the zakah in Shawwal. The money that you earned in Dhul Qa'dah, you will pay in Dhul Qa'dah. The money that you earned in Dhul Hijjah, you will pay in Dhul Hijjah. The money that you earned in Muharram, you will pay in Muharram. But this becomes very complicated because you have to track 12 different amounts of money for the whole time of the year, and you have to kind of calculate each one separately. What is easier, but it's not obligatory on you, but what is easier for you is that you take the first month when you started your job and you count your zakah from this month. And then when that month comes again, you can give the zakah upon all of what you have saved in that year. That is easier for you and it is more reward for you as well. It's more reward because you're giving more than what you have to give. And it's easier for you because you don't have to remember to give it every single month and calculate it every single month. Instead, what you do, you say, okay, I began my job on the 1st of Dhul Hijjah. That was when I received my payment, my first salary, on the 1st of Dhul Hijjah. Then the year goes by. When the 1st of Dhul Hijjah comes again, You look at all the money you saved in that year from your salary and you give the zakah upon it. This is easier for you. But if a person wanted to count each month separately and give their money that they save from Dhul Hijjah, the next Dhul Hijjah, and the money from Muharram in Muharram, and the money from Safar in Safar, there is no problem with that. It's just difficult to do. So the easier thing with your salary is, why do we say the first salary? Because you can't delay the zakah. Remember, we said you can't make it late. You can only make it early. So you can't say, I'll wait until Ramadan, because you started in Dhul Hijjah. So you can't wait until Ramadan. But you can give it early. Before the next Dhul Hijjah, you give in Ramadan, no problem. So you can give it early, but you can't give it late. So you look at your salary, what has come from your salary, and what have you saved over the year, and you give the zakah 2.5%. This is just a basic discussion, ikhwan. There's a lot of discussion we have to have, a lot of rules and things we have to learn. But I just wanted to give you a basic answer, because a lot of people are very confused. He doesn't know, what do I give, what don't I give. Likewise, our sisters that have gold and silver jewelry, if it reached the nisab is 85 grams of gold and 595 grams of silver. It reached that amount, and she kept it for 1 year, then she gives the zakah upon it. But maybe for her, it's easier for her that she says, I'm just going to give it early, and I don't mind about the year, I will just give it early, no problem. Or I have less than the nisab, but I will give it anyway, no problem. You can always give more, and you can always give early. But you can never give less, and you can never give late. A lot of you, my brothers, have some investment, some property that you bought, some cars that you bought to sell, or some things in your shop you bought to sell. The same rules will apply. But when will you count the year from? You will count the year from when you took the money to start the business. When did you take the money to be able to start your business? In the beginning. This is your financial year. We don't mind about the taxman. We don't know what your taxman's financial year is. That doesn't matter. But Islamically, your financial year in your business is when you took that investment to start your business. That's your financial year now. Every time that day comes again, you look at the stock that I have, the products I have, the houses I have to sell, the cars I have to sell. Remember, this is what you are selling, not what you are using. So the house you kept for rent, it doesn't count. You will pay zakah on the rent. You will pay zakah on the profit. But you will not pay zakah on the value of the house if you kept it for rent. But what you kept for selling, if it's big as a house or as small as a pen or a pencil, if you bought it for the reason of selling it, and the whole year, your financial year comes again, you checked it, how much money you have, and you give the zakah according to the market rate. Not the rate when you bought it, the value of it on the day when the zakah is due. Ikhwani, there remains one more thing to share with you. Who can I give my zakah to? The zakah cannot be given to anybody. It's a very strict rule in Islam, who you can give zakah to and who you can't give the zakah to. So, for example, you cannot give the zakah for the maintenance of the masjid. You cannot give the zakah, for example, for somebody who is an orphan, just because they're an orphan. Or you cannot give the zakah, for example, to a school or an Islamic center. You cannot give the zakah except to the people that are mentioned in the ayah, إِنَّمَا الصَّدَقَاتُ لِلْفُقَرَاءِ إِلَى آخِرِ الْآيَةِ. This ayah, which Allah describes all of the people the zakah is due for, the simplest thing to do is, when you give your money, make sure the person knows that it's zakah. For example, if you want to give it to our masjid, we don't use it for the masjid. We're not allowed to use it for the masjid. But you write on the paper that I gave zakah, we will take that separately and we will give it to the fuqara and the masakeen, the poor people and the needy people. We will not use it for the masjid. We will not use it for the electric and the gas and the water of the masjid. No. We will take it and we will give it to the people that Allah Azza wa Jal mentioned in the ayah in Surah Al-Tawbah. From those, the most important of them are Al-Fuqara wal-Masakin, the poor people and the needy people. And Ikhwani, there are poor people and needy people here. Even in the city, there are people who are poor and needy. And also, if you give it yourself, there is no harm in it. But you have to make sure you're giving it to somebody who deserves it. You're not giving it to somebody, for example, just because the person said, oh, you have some charity. Sadaqah is different from zakah. Zakah, you have to give it to the right person. So if you're not sure who to give it to, you can give it to the masjid and we will give it to the poor people, bi'idhnillahi ta'ala. But you must tell us about it. Because if you don't tell us, we will not know that it's zakah. And we might use it for something which the zakah is not allowed for. So we ask you just to keep these things in mind. Many things you should learn more about it. But for now, just to give you an idea, so there's less confusion. People understand, how do I give some zakah from my wealth and my salary and my trade and so on. ثم صلوا وسلموا رعاكم الله على محمد بن عبد الله كما أمركم بذلك ربكم فقال قولا كريما إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما اللهم صل على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما صليت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد وبارك على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما باركت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد اللهم آت نفوسنا تقواها وزكها أنت خير من زكاها أنت وليها ومولاها اللهم أصلح لنا ديننا الذي هو عصمة أمرنا وأصلح لنا دنيانا التي فيها معاشنا وأصلح لنا آخرتنا التي فيها معادنا واجعل الحياة زيادة لنا في كل خير والموت راحة لنا من كل شر برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين اللهم إنا نسألك الهدى والتقى والعفاف والغنى اللهم إنا نسألك حبك وحب من يحبك وحب العمل الذي يقربنا إلى حبك اللهم اجعلنا ممن يصوم رمضان إيمانا واحتسابا واجعلنا ممن يقوم رمضان إيمانا واحتسابا واجعلنا ممن يقوم ليلة القدر إيمانا واحتسابا برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين اللهم انصر إخواننا المستضعفين في كل مكان اللهم كن لهم ناصرا ومعينا ومؤيدا وظهيرا بقوتك وعزتك يا قوي يا عزيز عباد الله إن الله يأمر بالعدل والإحسان وإيتاء ذي القربى وينهى عن الفحشاء والمنكر والبغي يعظكم لعلكم تذكرون فاذكروا الله يذكركم واشكروه على نعمه وآلائه يزدكم ولذكر الله أكبر والله يعلم ما تصنعون وأقيموا الصلاة
الله أكبر الله أكبر أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن